Dear Chosen One, God just destroyed something so vile, so meticulously crafted against you, that even the demons who designed it are standing in shock right now. While you were sleeping, praying, crying in confusion, the Almighty positioned spiritual explosives under every pillar of a disgusting, wicked plot, meant to bury you alive. And when the time was right, He didn't just disarm it. He blew it up so completely that not even the ashes remain. You were saved from something you didn't even know was coming for you. This wasn't a close call. This was divine demolition. That trap they built, those walls of lies, that ceiling of betrayal, that floor of shame. It was designed to crush your spirit before you ever stepped into your destiny. They studied you. They planned every detail. They set the timeline. But God saw it all. And His response wasn't diplomatic, wasn't passive, wasn't delayed. He obliterated their entire operation with the force of heaven itself. And now you're standing in the rubble of what should have destroyed you, untouched and elevated. But here's the part that will change everything you thought you knew about divine protection. God didn't just stop the attack. He transformed the very structure of that trap into a portal. Every ounce of poison prepared for you became antidote. Every lie told about you became testimony of your truth. Every closed door became a wall of a greater temple being built around you. The wicked plot didn't just fail. It became fuel for your ascension. And today, you're going to see exactly how God turns your enemy's weapons into your wings. Before we go deeper, if this message is already stirring something in your spirit, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. This is where God speaks directly to His chosen ones. Drop the word transformed in the comments to seal this moment and let the universe know you recognize the shift. And if you are ready to unlock not just spiritual awakening, but practical prosperity, check the link in the description for ebook The Call to Prosperity, a step-by-step guide that activates abundance in every area of your life, with faith, clarity, and practical wisdom, to help you step into the financial and spiritual abundance that's already yours. You can explore it later, or click now if you're ready to walk in divine order. Chosen One, you felt it before you understood it. That creeping sensation that something was moving against you in the shadows. Strange coincidences that weren't coincidences at all. Doors slamming shut in your face for no logical reason. People you trusted suddenly turning cold, distant, hostile without explanation. Opportunities evaporating at the last second. Conversations that felt scripted, designed to extract information from you. You weren't paranoid. You were perceiving spiritual warfare in real time, and your spirit was trying to warn you. The plot against you was disgusting not just because it was evil, but because it was calculated with precision. These weren't random attacks. This was orchestrated conspiracy, meticulously planned by people who studied your patterns, your vulnerabilities, your dreams, and your fears. They mapped out your daily routines. They identified who you loved most so they could weaponize those relationships. They planned the exact moment to strike, the exact wound to inflict, the exact humiliation to deploy. This was premeditated spiritual assassination. And here's what made it even more sinister. They didn't just want to hurt you. They wanted to erase you, to destroy your reputation so thoroughly that no one would believe your truth, to sabotage your opportunities so completely that you'd never recover financially, to break your spirit so deeply that you'd abandon your calling and disappear into mediocrity. The goal wasn't just your downfall, it was your deletion from the narrative of destiny. They wanted you gone, forgotten, and powerless before you ever became who God designed you to be. Behind the human conspirators, there were darker forces pulling strings. Demonic principalities that recognized your spiritual bloodline and assigned agents to stop you. These entities don't waste resources on regular people. They deploy full-scale operations only against chosen ones whose destinies threaten the kingdom of darkness. If you've been under relentless, irrational, multidimensional attack, it's because hell itself has identified you as a threat. Your suffering wasn't random. It was strategic warfare from realms most people don't even believe exist. The lies they spread about you were crafted with demonic intelligence. Not random gossip, but precision-engineered narratives designed to isolate you from your support systems. They told different lies to different people, creating a web of confusion where no one could verify the truth. They framed your strengths as weaknesses, your boundaries as cruelty, your wisdom as arrogance, your silence as guilt. Every word was chosen to maximize damage, to make sure that even if you defended yourself, you'd sound defensive and guilty. They positioned Judas figures around you, people who smiled in your face while selling you out behind closed doors. These weren't strangers. These were individuals you broke bread with, confided in, trusted with your heart. And they betrayed you not because you failed them, but because your light exposed their darkness. They couldn't stand being near your frequency, so they chose to align with your destroyers. The betrayal wasn't about you. It was about them choosing comfort in darkness over transformation in light. The timeline of the attack was deliberate. They waited until you were at a vulnerable moment, a transition, a loss, a moment of doubt. They knew that if they struck when you were already weak, the blow would be exponential. They watched you grieve, watched you struggle, watched you question yourself, and then they struck with everything they had. The cruelty of the timing wasn't accidental. It was designed to make you believe that even God had abandoned you, that your suffering was proof of divine rejection rather than evidence of spiritual war. Doors that should have opened stayed locked. Contracts that were verbally confirmed mysteriously fell through. Relationships that felt divinely orchestrated suddenly collapsed without clear reason. Money that was promised never arrived. Healing that seemed imminent reversed overnight. Every forward step met with 2 steps backward. And the pattern was so consistent, so relentless, that you started doubting your own discernment, your own worthiness, your own sanity. That's exactly what they wanted, for you to become your own saboteur through internalized shame and confusion. You began to feel like you were living in a nightmare you couldn't wake up from. Every morning brought new evidence of the conspiracy. Every night ended in tears and unanswered questions. You prayed harder than ever before, but heaven seemed silent. You fasted. You repented for sins you didn't commit. You begged God to show you what you were doing wrong. But the attacks didn't stop. If anything, they intensified. And in your desperation, you started wondering if maybe you weren't chosen after all, if maybe you'd misunderstood your calling, if maybe God had made a mistake. The isolation became unbearable. People who once celebrated you now avoided you. Invitations stopped coming. Your phone stopped ringing. Social gatherings happened without you. Even family members started questioning your version of events, siding with your accusers because the lies were more believable than the truth. You were being erased from community, from fellowship, from belonging, and the loneliness was its own kind of death, slow, suffocating, convincing you that maybe you deserved to be alone, that maybe you were the problem. Financial attacks hit from every direction. Unexpected expenses drained your savings. Income streams dried up without warning. Debts you'd almost cleared suddenly ballooned. Job offers rescinded at the last moment. Business deals that were sure things evaporated. The economic pressure was designed to force you into desperation, into making survival-based decisions that would compromise your integrity and derail your purpose. They knew that if they could control your resources, they could control your choices and ultimately control your destiny. Your health began to deteriorate in ways that medical professionals couldn't fully explain. Chronic exhaustion that sleep couldn't cure. Mystery pains that migrated through your body. Brain fog that made it hard to think clearly or make decisions. Anxiety attacks that came out of nowhere. These weren't just stress symptoms. These were spiritual attacks manifesting in your physical body. The enemy knows that if he can't break your spirit directly, he'll attack your body until your physical limitations force you to give up on your spiritual assignments. Even your dreams became battlegrounds, nightmares of failure, humiliation, death. Dreams where you were chased, trapped, suffocated. Dreams where loved ones rejected you or where you committed terrible sins. You'd wake up more exhausted than when you went to sleep, carrying the emotional weight of battles fought in the subconscious realm. The enemy was attacking you in every dimension: physical, emotional, financial, relational, and now, even in the realm of sleep, where your conscious defenses were down. The weight of it all became crushing. You started having thoughts you'd never had before. Thoughts of giving up, of running away, of ending it all. Not because you were weak, but because the cumulative pressure of multidimensional warfare was designed to break even the strongest warriors. You felt like you were being squeezed from every side, with no escape route, no relief, no end in sight. The trap was closing in, and you could feel the walls getting tighter every single day. And just when it seemed like the next hit would finally break you, just when the darkness felt absolute, just when you were ready to surrender to defeat, that's when God said enough. That's when heaven mobilized. That's when the Almighty positioned himself not as a distant observer, but as a warrior king ready to go to war on your behalf. You didn't see it yet, but the explosion was already being prepared. The countdown had started, and everything was about to change in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. Let's examine the architecture of this disgusting trap, because understanding what God destroyed will magnify your gratitude and strengthen your faith. The walls of this prison were built from lies, not small misunderstandings, but industrial-grade fabrications designed to rewrite history and redefine your character. These lies were so well constructed that they contained fragments of truth, twisted just enough to sound credible. They used your own words against you, taking statements out of context and reshaping them into weapons of character assassination. The ceiling of this trap was betrayal from those closest to you. Judas doesn't always come from your enemy's camp. Sometimes he sits at your own table. These were people you invested in, people you trusted with your vulnerabilities, people who knew your dreams and your fears, and they used that intimate knowledge to sell you out for their own advancement, their own protection, their own comfort. The pain of betrayal cuts deeper than any enemy's attack because it comes from where you least expect it, from hands you thought were safe. The floor beneath you was designed to be shame and public humiliation. They planned to expose you at your most vulnerable, to parade your mistakes and failures in front of everyone who once respected you. The goal was to make you so ashamed that you'd hide, so humiliated that you'd never speak up again, so embarrassed that you'd disqualify yourself from your own calling. Shame is a powerful prison because it makes you believe you deserve to be locked up, that your punishment is justified, that your suffering is your own fault. The door of this trap was deception disguised as opportunity. They were going to lure you in with something that looked like breakthrough, a relationship that seemed heaven-sent, a business deal that appeared too good to pass up, an opportunity that felt like answered prayer. But the moment you stepped through that door, it would have locked behind you, and you would have found yourself trapped in a nightmare you entered voluntarily. The most effective traps are the ones you walk into willingly, thinking you're walking into blessing. The timeline was strategic and ruthless. They waited for the moment when your defenses were lowest, after a personal loss, during a health crisis, in the middle of a transition, right when you were stepping into something new. They studied your cycles, your patterns, your seasons. They knew that if they struck when you were already carrying heavy weight, the additional blow would be catastrophic. Timing in warfare is everything, and they chose their moment with demonic precision to ensure maximum devastation. Consider Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, then falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, and thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit. The trap seemed airtight. No witnesses to his innocence, no evidence to support his truth, no human power to rescue him. He was supposed to rot in that Egyptian dungeon, forgotten and broken. But God had other plans. The very pit designed to bury Joseph became the pathway to the palace. The prison that should have ended his story became the preparation ground for his promotion. Think about Daniel, thrown into a den of hungry lions because of a law crafted specifically to trap him. His enemies studied his devotion to prayer and weaponized it against him. They created legislation that made his faithfulness illegal, knowing he wouldn't compromise. The den was supposed to be his tomb, the lions his executioners. But God shut the mouths of lions, and Daniel emerged untouched, while his accusers were devoured by the same beasts they'd prepared for him. The trap backfired with fatal consequences for those who built it. Remember the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, thrown into a furnace heated 7 times hotter than normal. The fire was supposed to reduce them to ashes, to make an example of them, to terrify everyone else into compliance. But when the king looked into the flames, he saw not 3, but 4 figures walking around unbound, and the 4th looked like the Son of God. They emerged without even the smell of smoke on their clothes. The fire designed to destroy them couldn't touch them, because divine presence turned the furnace into a sanctuary. Even Jesus himself faced the ultimate trap, arrested on false charges, betrayed by one of his own disciples, denied by another, abandoned by the rest, tried in illegal trials, convicted by false witnesses, executed on a cross meant for criminals. The enemy thought he'd won, thought he'd silenced the voice of truth, thought he'd stopped the redemption plan forever. But the cross that was meant to be Christ's defeat became humanity's deliverance. The tomb that should have been his end became the birthplace of resurrection power. Death itself was swallowed up in victory. The trap against you had the same demonic DNA as all these biblical conspiracies. It was designed to isolate you, accuse you, condemn you, and eliminate you before you could fulfill your divine assignment. The architecture was complex. The execution was precise. The timing was calculated. Every detail had been planned. Every contingency had been accounted for. Every escape route had been blocked. In human terms, there was no way out. You were supposed to be finished, erased, destroyed beyond recovery. But here's what your enemies didn't account for. You weren't just anyone. You weren't a random target. You were a chosen one, sealed with divine purpose, marked with heaven's fingerprint, assigned with a mission that hell fears. And when you're operating under that kind of spiritual authority, The normal rules don't apply. Human conspiracies, no matter how sophisticated, cannot override divine decrees. Demonic plots, no matter how strategic, cannot cancel what God has ordained. You were born covered, protected, shielded by forces that don't answer to earthly powers. The trap was real. The danger was legitimate. The threat was genuine. This wasn't spiritual drama or exaggerated warfare. You were facing actual destruction from multiple dimensions simultaneously. Any one of those attacks alone could have derailed a normal person's life permanently. But all of them together, strategically coordinated and precisely timed, were designed to be absolutely devastating. The enemy wasn't playing games. This was a full-scale assault with one goal: complete annihilation of your destiny, your influence, your bloodline, and your future. But while they were busy building their elaborate trap, while they were celebrating their strategic genius, while they were counting down to your destruction, God was watching. And He wasn't worried. He wasn't scrambling to come up with a defense strategy. He wasn't surprised or caught off guard. He was simply waiting for the right moment, the moment when the trap was fully built, when the conspirators had invested everything, when they thought victory was guaranteed. Because God doesn't just save His chosen ones, He makes examples out of their enemies. Every lie they told became evidence against them. Every door they closed became a testimony to divine redirection. Every betrayal they orchestrated became proof of their own corruption. Every weapon they formed became a tool in God's hands to build something greater. They thought they were architects of your destruction, but they were actually contractors working on God's construction project. They were building your platform without even knowing it, digging your foundation while thinking they were digging your grave. There came a moment when God said, "Enough." Not as a suggestion, not as a warning, but as an absolute decree that echoed through every realm of existence. When the Almighty speaks that word, mountains move, seas split, and the very foundations of hell tremble. This wasn't a passive observation of your suffering. This was active, aggressive, militant divine intervention on behalf of a chosen one whose destiny was under siege. And when God moves on your behalf, the outcome isn't negotiable. It's inevitable, irreversible, and absolutely devastating to your enemies. Heaven mobilized in ways you didn't see. Angels who had been positioned around you since birth suddenly shifted from defensive postures to offensive warfare. These weren't the gentle, harp-playing cherubs of religious art. These were warrior angels with flaming swords, commanders of celestial armies, executors of divine judgment. They moved through dimensions humans can't perceive, dismantling demonic strongholds, severing evil agreements, breaking curses, and destroying every spiritual infrastructure that had been built against you. The battle was fierce, but the outcome was never in question. God positioned spiritual explosives under every pillar that held up the conspiracy against you. Each lie told about you, explosive placed. Each betrayal orchestrated against you, explosive placed. Each door closed to trap you, explosive placed. Each financial attack designed to break you, explosive placed. Each relationship weaponized to hurt you, explosive placed. Every single element of that disgusting plot was wired for demolition, and God waited with divine patience for the perfect moment to detonate everything simultaneously. That moment arrived when your enemies were most confident, when they thought their victory was secure, when they were already celebrating your demise, when they had invested so much into the conspiracy that there was no turning back. That's when God pushed the button. And the explosion wasn't just loud, it was apocalyptic. Every pillar collapsed at once. Every wall crumbled simultaneously. every plan imploded catastrophically. In a single divine moment, years of their plotting were reduced to rubble. What they built in secret was destroyed in public. What they crafted in darkness was exposed in light. The detonation sent shockwaves through both visible and invisible realms. Demonic principalities that had orchestrated the attacks found themselves suddenly powerless, their legal access to your life revoked by divine authority. Human conspirators who thought they were untouchable suddenly found themselves exposed, their own words and actions turning against them like boomerangs of judgment. Relationships. They corrupted, dissolved before their eyes. Resources they stole evaporated from their hands. Reputations they destroyed became mirrors of their own corruption. The very weapons they formed against you became instruments of their own downfall. But here's where the miracle transcends simple protection. God didn't just destroy the trap. He transformed it. He took every ounce of malicious energy that had been directed at you and converted it into fuel for your elevation. This is the alchemy of divine justice. This is the physics of spiritual warfare that most people never understand. God doesn't waste anything. He recycles the enemy's investments and repurposes them for your advancement. The bigger the attack, the greater the comeback. The deeper the pit, the higher the promotion. Every lie told about you became a megaphone for your truth. Because when lies are exposed, truth doesn't just get validated, it gets amplified. People who believed the false narratives now question everything they were told. Your silence during the attack becomes prophetic wisdom in retrospect. Your refusal to defend yourself becomes evidence of divine confidence. The very people who judged you harshly are now the ones seeking your forgiveness, recognizing that they were manipulated pawns in a game they didn't understand. Every door that was closed against you wasn't just blocking one opportunity. It was redirecting you toward something far greater. Those closed doors weren't rejections. They were divine protection from paths that would have limited you. God shut those doors before you could settle for less than His best. And now, as those false opportunities collapse entirely, you can see with clarity that you were being saved from golden cages that looked like palaces but were actually prisons. The doors that are opening now lead to territories you didn't even know existed. Every betrayal you suffered became a relational cleanse that removed people who would have sabotaged your future. Those Judas figures who sold you out did you a favor they didn't intend? They revealed their true nature before you promoted them into positions where they could have caused catastrophic damage. God used their betrayal as a surgical removal of toxic elements from your life. And now the space they left is being filled with genuine covenant relationships, people who are divinely assigned to walk with you into your next chapter. The financial attacks that nearly broke you became the setup for supernatural provision from sources you never anticipated. God allowed the enemy to dry up your familiar streams because He was about to open floodgates you hadn't discovered yet. The job you lost was preparation for the business you're about to build. The contract that fell through was protection from a partnership that would have enslaved you. The money you didn't get from human hands is about to flow from divine treasuries that never run dry. Your lack was strategic, not punitive. Even the health attacks that weakened your body are being reversed with resurrection power. The exhaustion that nearly destroyed you is being replaced with supernatural strength. The mental fog is lifting, revealing clarity of thought and sharpness of discernment you've never experienced before. The anxiety that tormented you is dissolving as you recognize that you were never in as much danger as you felt. You were always surrounded, always covered, always protected. Your body is recovering because the war is over and victory has been declared. The isolation you endured wasn't abandonment. It was incubation. God pulled you away from the noise, away from the crowds, away from the distractions, so He could do deep work in you that required silence and solitude. Like Jesus in the wilderness, like Moses on the mountain, like Paul in Arabia, you were being prepared in the secret place for the public assignment. The loneliness wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now you're emerging from that season with a level of spiritual maturity and divine intimacy that couldn't have been developed in comfort. Every nightmare the enemy sent to torment your sleep is being replaced with prophetic dreams that reveal your future. God is giving you visions in the night that show you where you're going, what you're building, who you're becoming. The battlefield of your subconscious is being reclaimed as holy ground, where heaven downloads strategies, revelations, and encouragements. Sleep is no longer something you dread, but something you anticipate, because you know God speaks most clearly when your conscious mind is quiet. The thoughts of giving up that plagued you during the darkest moments were the enemy's last-ditch effort to make you abort your own destiny. But you didn't give up. You held on by a thread when the rope seemed completely frayed. You took one more breath when you thought you couldn't breathe anymore. You whispered one more prayer when you thought heaven wasn't listening. And that stubborn, defiant refusal to quit was the final ingredient God needed to justify His explosive intervention. Your endurance triggered divine response. But now, we need to talk about something critical. Your responsibility as a chosen one who has been saved, elevated, and transformed through divine intervention. This wasn't a random act of cosmic kindness. This was intentional protection of a person with a specific assignment. God didn't blow up that disgusting plot just so you could live comfortably. He destroyed it so you could fulfill the purpose that justified His intervention in the first place. You were saved for a reason, and that reason is bigger than you, more important than your comfort, and more urgent than you realize. You can't go back to living small after experiencing this level of divine protection. You can't shrink back into insignificance after God made such a public statement on your behalf. You can't waste the elevation by playing it safe or hiding in comfort. The portal you walked through wasn't an escape route. It was an entry point into greater warfare, greater responsibility, and greater impact. Chosen ones aren't chosen for vacation. They're chosen for battle. And the fact that God saved you from this attack means there are battles ahead that require your presence, your voice, and your authority. The attacks you survived weren't random targeting. They were strategic attempts to stop you before you could do what you're about to do. The enemy doesn't waste high-level warfare on people who don't matter. If hell mobilized that much resource against you, it's because your future terrifies the kingdom of darkness. You're carrying something, building something, or birthing something that threatens demonic agendas. And now that you've survived, now that you're elevated, now that you're activated, you have to move forward with the understanding that your existence is warfare, and your obedience is victory. Don't underestimate the attacks anymore. Don't dismiss them as bad luck or human drama. Every attack is a sign, a confirmation, a revelation of your value in the spiritual economy. When the enemy comes after you with that level of coordination and precision, it means you're close to breakthrough. It means you're about to step into something significant. It means your next level is so impactful that hell is trying to abort it before it manifests. So, when you feel spiritual resistance, don't retreat, advance. When you feel attacked, don't hide, stand. When you feel warfare, don't surrender, fight. Learn to read the signs of divine protection even when you can't see God's hand moving. Just because you don't witness the explosion doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just because you don't see the angels fighting doesn't mean they're not there. God operates in dimensions you can't perceive with natural senses. He's dismantling plots you don't even know exist. He's closing doors you never saw open. He's rerouting attacks before they reach you. Your job isn't to see everything. Your job is to trust the one who does see everything and move forward with confidence in his covering. Maintain alignment with the purpose that justified your protection. God didn't save you so you could go back to wasting time, energy, and resources on things that don't matter. He didn't elevate you so you could stay distracted by entertainment, comfort, and meaningless pursuits. He didn't transform your life so you could keep living for yourself. You've been given a gift, the gift of survival, of clarity, of authority, of elevation. And that gift comes with the responsibility to steward it well, to invest it wisely, and to use it for the advancement of the kingdom and the liberation of others who are still trapped in their own conspiracies. Your testimony is now a weapon. The story of how God saved you from that disgusting plot isn't just for your personal journal. It's ammunition for other chosen ones who are under attack right now. When you share what God did, you're not bragging. You're activating faith in others who need to know that deliverance is possible. When you testify to the transformation, you're giving hope to people who are standing in traps right now, thinking there's no way out. Your voice carries authority because you're speaking from experience, not theory. You survived, so your words have weight. Be a living witness to the truth that God transforms attacks into ascension. Don't hide your story. Don't minimize what you went through. Don't downplay the miracle of your survival. People need to see that it's possible to go through hell and come out more powerful than before. They need to know that traps can become portals. They need to understand that God specializes in turning enemy weapons into divine tools. And you're the proof. Your life is the evidence. Your presence is the testimony. Walk in that boldly, knowing that your very existence is a prophetic declaration of God's faithfulness. Expect new attacks because you're in new territory. Higher altitude means greater visibility. Increased authority means increased opposition. Expanded influence means expanded resistance. The enemy isn't going to leave you alone just because you survived one conspiracy. If anything, he's going to study what happened, adjust his strategy, and come at you differently. But here's the difference. Now you know the pattern. Now you recognize the signs. Now you understand how God operates. You're not the same person who walked into that first trap. You're battle-tested, wisdom-equipped, and spiritually fortified. Don't try to fight your enemies yourself. Don't try to expose them publicly. Don't try to get revenge or prove them wrong. That's not your job. Your job is to stay focused on your assignment and let God handle the people who tried to destroy you. He's better at vengeance than you'll ever be. His justice is more thorough. His payback is more strategic. When you step aside and let God fight for you, you free yourself to build while He destroys on your behalf. The battle belongs to the Lord, and He doesn't need your help to win it. Stay humble in the elevation. Don't let the altitude make you arrogant. Don't let the promotion make you proud. Don't let the favor make you feel entitled. Remember where you came from. Remember what God saved you from. Remember that without His intervention, you'd still be trapped or worse. Your elevation isn't evidence of your superiority. It's evidence of His grace. And the moment you forget that, you position yourself for a fall that no amount of warfare can compare to. Pride is the trap that catches the most elevated saints, so guard your heart with humility. Use your new discernment wisely. You can see things now that you couldn't see before, But that doesn't mean you need to announce everything you see. Just because you discern someone's hidden motives doesn't mean you need to expose them publicly. Just because you recognize spiritual attacks doesn't mean you need to call them out dramatically. Wisdom knows what to speak and what to hold. Discernment without wisdom is dangerous. You've been given eyes to see so you can navigate wisely, not so you can become a spiritual detective announcing everyone's secrets. Build what you're called to build with urgency and excellence. Don't waste the season of favor by procrastinating or perfectionism. The doors that are open now won't stay open forever. The resources flowing to you now are meant to be invested, not hoarded. The ideas downloading into your spirit now are time-sensitive. Move with divine speed, but don't sacrifice quality for speed. Build with excellence, because what you're creating is meant to last beyond you. This isn't just for you, it's for generations that will come after you, and they need you to build well. Guard your peace like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. The enemy will try to steal your peace through offense, through comparison, through fear, through worry. Don't give him access. You've been through too much to surrender your peace to petty drama or temporary challenges. When you feel peace slipping, stop everything and recalibrate. Get back to prayer. Get back to worship. Get back to the presence of God, where peace is restored. Your peace isn't just a feeling, it's a weapon. When you're at peace in the middle of warfare, you disarm the enemy's psychological tactics. Remember this truth and never forget it. You are covered by a divine decree that no human conspiracy can override. Before you were born, before your enemies were born, before the attack was even conceived, God had already written your protection into the fabric of eternity. You're not surviving by luck or by your own strength. You're thriving because heaven has invested in your success, and heaven doesn't make bad investments. The fact that you're still here, still standing, still moving forward after everything you've been through is proof that your destiny is sealed by forces that don't answer to earthly powers. Every future attack will follow the same pattern you just witnessed. The enemy will build, God will destroy, and you will be elevated through the debris. This isn't a one-time miracle. This is how your life operates now. You're living under perpetual divine protection that transforms every weapon formed against you into a tool for your advancement. So when the next attack comes, and it will come, don't panic, don't despair, don't question God's presence. Just watch and wait for the explosion. God has a pattern with you, and that pattern is consistent. Your enemies plot. He laughs, they fall, you rise. The portal you walked through isn't a destination. It's a doorway to multiple dimensions of increase. What you're experiencing now is just the beginning of what God has planned for you. The elevation you're feeling is the first floor, not the penthouse. The favor you're seeing is the down payment, not the full inheritance. The clarity you're walking in is the appetizer, not the main course. God is just getting started with you, and if what you've experienced so far has been this transformative, imagine what's coming next. Your best days aren't behind you. They're ahead of you, and they're closer than you think. Financial abundance is part of your covenant inheritance as a chosen one. God didn't save you from destruction just to leave you broke and struggling. Poverty is a trap just as much as the conspiracy you escaped. And God is in the business of blowing up every trap that tries to limit you, financial traps included. Expect supernatural provision. Expect doors to open in the marketplace. Expect ideas that generate wealth. Expect favor with people who control resources. Expect overflow in every area. because that's what happens when you align with divine purpose and steward your elevation well. Your voice will reach people you never thought you could reach. Platforms you never applied for will invite you. Opportunities you never pursued will pursue you. Influence you never sought will find you. This is what happens when God elevates you through explosion. He doesn't just lift you higher, He amplifies your reach. People across cities, nations, and continents will encounter your message, your work, your testimony. And lives will be changed not because you're special in yourself, but because you carry the authority of someone who survived what was meant to destroy them and came out transformed. Generational curses that operated in your bloodline for decades are broken because of what you just survived. The attack against you wasn't just about you. It was an attempt to stop an entire lineage from breaking free. But you didn't break. You didn't quit. You didn't surrender. And your endurance broke chains that were holding your ancestors and would have held your descendants. Your children and your children's children will walk in freedom they didn't have to fight for because you fought and won. Your breakthrough is their inheritance. Your victory is their starting line. Don't be surprised when people you haven't spoken to in years suddenly reappear with apologies, with confessions, with acknowledgments that they were wrong about you. The truth always surfaces eventually. Lies have expiration dates. Manipulations eventually get exposed. And when that happens, you don't need to gloat or demand anything from them. Just receive their apology with grace and keep moving forward. Your elevation isn't dependent on their validation. You've already been vindicated by God Himself, and that's the only validation that matters. Human apologies are nice, but they're not necessary for your peace or your progress. The relationships that are forming in your life right now are covenant-level connections that will walk with you for decades. These aren't casual acquaintances. These are people who have been divinely assigned to link arms with you for the long haul. They see what you see. They value what you value. They're going where you're going. And together, you'll build things that none of you could build alone. This is how God works. He removes the counterfeits to make room for the authentic, and then He connects you with people who are aligned with your frequency and your future. Your legacy is being written right now in real time through every decision you make in this season of elevation. The choices you make today will echo through generations. The standards you set now will become the foundation for those who come after you. The testimony you build through obedience will be the roadmap for chosen ones who are born 100 years from now and need to know that transformation is possible. You're not just living your life. You're authoring a story that will outlive you, inspire multitudes, and prove that God still performs miracles for those who trust Him through impossible situations. This is your moment to step fully into your identity as a chosen one. No more hesitation, no more shrinking back, no more playing small to make others comfortable. You've been saved, elevated, and transformed for a reason, and that reason demands your full yes. Say yes to the assignment. Say yes to the responsibility. Say yes to the warfare. Say yes to the elevation. Say yes to the influence. Say yes to all of it, knowing that the same God who blew up the disgusting plot against you will equip you, sustain you, and protect you as you walk into everything He's prepared for you. The explosion you survived wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of a new chapter that's more powerful, more impactful, and more glorious than anything you've experienced before. The trap that was set for you became the portal that launched you. The poison prepared for you became the antidote that heals others. The lies told about you became the megaphone for your truth. The doors closed against you became walls of a temple built for your worship and your work. Everything the enemy meant for evil, God has transformed into good. And that pattern will continue for the rest of your life because you're His chosen one, and He doesn't fail those who belong to Him. Walk forward with your head high, your heart full, and your faith unshakable. You've seen what God can do. You've experienced His power firsthand. You've witnessed the explosion of His justice on your behalf. And now you know, beyond any doubt, that you are protected, covered, elevated, and destined for greatness. No conspiracy can stop you. No trap can hold you. No enemy can defeat you. You are a chosen one, and your story is just beginning. The best is yet to come, and it's coming faster than you think. Get ready, stay ready, and watch what God does next. Before you go, if this message shook something loose in your spirit, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to this channel. And drop the word "ascended" in the comments to mark this moment, and declare to the universe that you recognize the shift happening in your life right now. And if you're ready to align your financial reality with your spiritual elevation, grab the Call to Prosperity from the description below, a practical, spirit-led guide to activating abundance in every area of your life. It's time to prosper the way God intended. Don't forget to check out the description of the powerful ebook created to further deepen your purpose and grow your life with prosperity. You heard this message for a reason, and this is your call to prosperity, where you will be guided towards financial abundance. The link is in the description and in the first comment. And for those of you who have been supporting this channel, thank you. Your generosity allows this message to reach millions of chosen ones. If you want to support the mission, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Every contribution matters. Thank you for standing with us. Chosen one, God didn't just save you, He launched you. The trap became a portal. The attack became your platform. The conspiracy became your testimony. You are not who you were. You are not where you were. You are ascending, and nothing can stop what God has started in you. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your time. Walk in it with power, with purpose, and with the unshakable confidence that you are heaven's protected investment. The King has spoken. The decree is sealed. You are a chosen one, and your story is far from over. It's just beginning. The armadillo exploded, the portal opened, and you walked through transformed, elevated, and unstoppable. Now go show the world what a chosen one looks like when God fights on their behalf. Go show them what happens when heaven intervenes. Go show them the power of a God who turns traps into treasures and weapons into wings. You are the proof. You are the testimony. You are the miracle. And your life will never be the same again. Amen and amen. So be it. It is finished. It is done. Walk in your victory, chosen one. The King has crowned you, and no one can take that crown away.